Alright, now let's begin. Make sure that all your windows are open, your brush presets, your color, and your layers window. Find this by hitting the window menu button all the way on the top, and let's create a new document. You can do this by just going to File, New Document. And now let's set up our brush. Feel free to select one of Photoshop's default brushes, one of the 3 round brushes all the way on the left, and make sure that your dual brush is on as well. You can also adjust the spacing depending on how grainy you want it. And now let's begin with the painting. Create a new layer, then hit Tab on your keyboard so that you can get a full canvas to paint on. In this video, we're going to first focus on how to create a set of leaves. I just want to quickly show you how to go about doing this process. Later on in the tutorial, we're going to use these very leaves to kind of create texture on our trees to really give it that full foliage type feeling. I'm just creating the basic shape of a leaf, and then I'm using my eraser to kind of erase everything out. And that gives it like this really perfect sharp edge. I want to try creating different kinds of shapes, just taking inspiration from the trees around my neighborhood. Just almost the basic outline and silhouette of what you would expect the stereotypical leaf to look like. And now again, I've hit E on my keyboard for the eraser. I'm going to kind of erase around the outside, and then hit L on my keyboard and use a selection around the leaf to move it next to the other one. And now I'm just adding in a stem, using my same brush, but I'm just going to flatten it out so I have a thin angle, and I'm just going to kind of put these stems down. Now I want to draw another leaf that looks a little more symmetrical, and I'm going to erase out the edges again. And now I want to create a leaf that kind of has a bunch of little leaves that make up one big leaf. So we'll have one mini leaf on the top, and then I'm going to draw one here on the left, and then I'm going to draw a similar leaf on the right, and just kind of create a fan kind of shape for my leaf. Now remember to hit E again on your keyboard to erase out the edges. And I'm also going to rotate my canvas around as I'm painting. You can hit R on your keyboard, and this kind of creates a little hand shape, and you can use that to rotate your canvas around. I do this often because it makes it easier for me to create shapes as I'm painting. Sometimes when I want to create a different angle, I have to, instead of physically moving my body, I just move the canvas. And it works great. I love this feature in Photoshop. Now to zoom in and out, I hit Z on my keyboard, and then using my mouse, I can kind of zoom in and out as I draw and paint. Now I want to try another more rounder kind of leaf shape. And now let's remember to add in the stem. Now in a new layer, I want to paint in the lighting, kind of I'm going to add dimension to the leaf essentially. And now with the big brush, I'm just going to add in a stroke from the top to the bottom, and this gives it a nice, really cool effect. And now on another layer, except this time I'm changing the layer settings to overlay. With the big brush, I'm going to add in a nice kind of half stroke in the middle of the leaf, and I've selected the color white to do this. Whenever you put white on an overlay layer, it creates a highlight, and I'm kind of using this to create a division between the leaf, you know, just to show how a leaf has two sides to it. Now I just want to lower the opacity because I think it's a little too bright. And then I also want to erase out any errors or mistakes that I might have made. And with an angled brush, I'm also going to start laying in some of the little veins that you see on a leaf. I'm using the same thin brush to create these lines, and what I'm doing on one side is I'm painting in with a brush stroke by selecting B on my keyboard, and with an angled brush I'm adding in lines that kind of go out to the right. And then with the eraser, by pressing E on my keyboard, I'm erasing out the lines on the left. This creates a really cool kind of effect to my leaf. Now do the same thing to all the rest of the leaves. And now we're done. This is the process that I showed you for creating leaves. Later on in the tutorial, we're going to use these same shapes to add texture to our trees. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I paint a very simple tree using the same process, somewhat similar to how I painted the leaves. We're going to start out with a simple tree and then move on to something more detailed after that.